We are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into episode number 26, I want to remind you guys to like and subscribe because the Revved Up 906 community is growing and we want it to continue to grow. So make sure to share our pages and to turn on your post notifications, do all those fun, silly, goofy things so that we can continue to grow. We're very excited to be part of the Detroit Pistons community, and we're happy to be here. So here we are. Episode number 26. We are going to evaluate Bojan Bogdanovic's first season with the Detroit Pistons, and it was a crazy ride, 17-win season. But Bojan Bogdanovic was a guy that really gave our offense some consistency this season. He averaged 21 points, nearly 4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and shot 62% from the field. I mean, dang, my goodness. His season totals were 1,893 minutes, 1,273 points, 223 rebounds, and 152 assists. Bojan was a guy that I have mixed emotions about because early in the season, he kind of came out hot and was averaging like 22 points real early. And we're like, dang, that's the man. We're calling him Bogey, Bogdangerous. We're giving him all these nicknames. Kind of became a fan favorite. And then throughout the season, I kind of had mixed emotions about what he did to our offense, his kind of lazy defense. But, each week while evaluating these players, we're talking about comparisons in the statistics. What are some solid comparisons to Bojan in his first season with the Detroit Pistons?
So the way 538 broke it down and who they compared him to, not one of them I really agreed with except for one, and that was Marco Bellinelli.
Interesting.
Which I don't mind that one at all because it's actually a solid comparison. Yeah. But with the other ones, I'm like, I don't see that at all. They listed off Jeff Green. I don't see that one.
Yeah.
Jalen Rose. I love you, Jalen Rose, but I don't see that one.
I didn't.
And that's not disrespect towards you because I love you. It's just Bojan is a slow white guy, and you're not Bojan.
Yeah.
So
the thing with Jalen, I never really followed his NBA career.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. What are some other ones?
Danilo Gallinari.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's just. The way I view Bojan is his own individual kind of player.
Yeah.
He's different than a lot of these guys, but he has the comparison in just the sense that he can shoot. That's pretty much all it is. There is a former Piston on this list that they compared him to, and I don't mind it, Adrian Dantley.
Interesting. I didn't follow Adrian too closely.
But yeah, but my comparison is a former Piston. It is not Adrian Dantley. And he is not on the list. My comparison is a head coach candidate for our current Pistons team, and that is Jerry Stackhouse.
Okay, I like that.
Because when you look at Jerry Stackhouse, he was a 30-point-per-game scorer. Rick Carlisle came in and was like, hey, I need you to score 20 points. That's it.
Right.
Just do your job. I don't need you to go above and beyond. I need to go have you score 20 points every night. Do your thing, and we'll win. Jerry Stackhouse did that, and they won.
Yeah.
They had a winning season. Jerry Stackhouse, in his final season in Detroit, 21 points, 21.4 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game, 3.5 turnovers per game, and 2.1 fouls per game, shooting 39.7% from the field and 28% from three, and 85% from the free throw line in 76 games.
Okay,
now, Jerry, the points compared to Bojan, identical.
Right.
Pretty much. Rebounds, identical. Assists, there's a difference there. That's because Jerry is more offensive in the sense of he does everything, whereas Bojan does not really do anything.
No.
And there's a reason why. There's a reason why he made his comments earlier about there are certain moments where we don't like Bojan.
Yeah.
But almost identical in every single category for the season stats. And that's kind of like what I want to see out of Bojan going forward is he had his moments where he did his thing this year, but I don't want him to be able to, I don't want him to do his thing every single night.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be the kind of player that we need him to be. Not necessarily going out there and dropping 30 points consistently like he had been starting out the season. I don't necessarily want that out of him.
No.
I just want 20 points out of him, 14, 15 points out of him.
Yep.
Like, I don't want him to be our main offensive focus. And obviously, I know he's not going to be that with Cade in the offense again. But even without Cade in the offense this year, Jaden Ivey is the next man up, in my opinion.
Yep.
But yet, Bojan still controlled the situation and the narrative, forcing him to be the ball handler and the guy.
And the thing with Bojan the issues weren't the points, it was the shots taken.
Yeah.
You know, we would see nights where Bojan would put up 33 shots, and we're like, why is he doing this? Because he's only taking away 5 to 8 shots from Jaden, and then if Cade was playing, he's taking away 12 shots from Cade, which if you're taking shots away from my Cade, dude, you're going to face the Fury. Because Cade, you need to give him the ball and let him take over. And that's why I am so nervous for his second season with the Pistons. Because Bojan might not start taking less shots. We saw it happen with Jeremy Grant, where when Jeremy Grant got injured for a 10-game streak and Cade Cunningham went off those games. And so I'm very nervous to see how Bojan and Cade play together because they only played 12 games.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bojan. But we saw plenty of times this season, even after Bojan got hurt, Jaden Ivey really found his rhythm. He played really good these last 20 games. We saw him make a big push for the most points by a rookie since Grant Hill. And I think if Bojan played these last 20 games, that we might not have saw that from Jaden.
No, Jaden probably wouldn't have broken that most consistently scored double-digit point record.
Yep.
We wouldn't have seen a lot of what Jaden Ivey did to finish the season if Bojan was still in the lineup. Because, like, you go back to Jeremy Grant. Like, Jeremy Grant came back off of injury, and what immediately happened? Cade took less shots.
Yeah.
And we kept losing. And it's like, Jeremy, I know you came to Detroit because you want to be the guy, but you're not the guy anymore. Cade is the guy.
Not with these picks.
No. And then this season, when we got Bojan in the trade in the offseason, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're making a run for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And the season started out great. Then we lost Cade for the full season. But in that stretch, it's like, without Cade, I know we're not going to make a run. But I still have hope in our team to do something. But then Bojan he had his hot start, which I love. But then it still took away from what Jaden Ivey and others around him were able to do. And it wasn't until him getting injured we saw what Jaden Ivey is capable of. We saw what Killian Hayes is capable of, who we just talked about in our latest episode. Go watch if you haven't.
Yeah.
And then like Jalen Duren, even James Wiseman, who we got via trade at the deadline for Sadiq Bey and Kevin Knox.
Right.
Like, all of these guys really showed what they could do because Bojan was injured.
So with the issue of Bojan stagnating our offense, is it as much of a taking too many shots issue, or is it a team chemistry issue? Like, which one would you really put to blame with Bojan messing with our offense?
It's 50-50 for both, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because our chemistry was never very good this season. Because there were times where Greg Kelser literally called it out mid-game, and it was like every single game of the season. It wasn't just like, oh, the 2 games there, the 2 games there. It was more of like every single game he talked about our chemistry was not very good.
Yeah.
And so, like, and Bojan was a key part of that. And this is not us sitting here and bashing Bojan for the season he had this year, because he had a great season. He had a good season. It wasn't bad. It's just we're breaking it down this way because we need to focus more on what our team was able to do without him necessarily. Yep. Because this is a guy where you could see him getting moved this offseason. Mm-hmm. This is a guy that probably will be moved, if he isn't moved this offseason, will be moved at the deadline this upcoming season. So it's just we need to break this down this way. And it's not because we're being overcritical or like we don't like him, because we do like him.
Oh yeah, I was happy.
We
when
love
picked him
Bojan,
up.
but it's just what we've been able to do without him on the floor is just it's intriguing, and it opens your eyes to the possibilities of what happens down the road.
Yeah, totally. And I kind of want to talk about Bojan's best month of play, because we talked about how early this season everyone was hopping on the Bojan train. Yeah. And it was because his best month of play was actually October, when the season kicked off. We saw him average 22.8 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 53% from the field. If you can't, if we can say one good thing about Bojan, it's he's efficient, man. He knows how to get buckets. And our team record in the month of October was 2-6. So another point about possibly moving Bojan and what the team looks like without Bojan is we see that his best play, and we had Cade in the month of October, mm-hmm. the team overall went 2-6.
Yeah.
So when you look at what play translates into wins, it's kind of makes me a little uneasy seeing mm-hmm. that Bojan put up his best numbers in October, and we finished 2-6.
I do want to throw out, you look back at where else Bojan has played. He's played in Washington. He's played in Brooklyn. He's played in Indiana. He's played most notably in Utah. Every one of those teams were good. They were solid teams. Obviously, Washington's never going to win in our lifetime, but that's besides the point. Yeah. He was on good teams, and like Utah as an example here, that was the best team he's ever played on. And Utah was one of the best teams in the West by far when you have Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, and then you throw Bojan in the mix, and you have Joe Ingles. Mm-hmm. Just that team was loaded, and yet they couldn't win. And why couldn't they win? Because you look at Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell, they're winning. Donovan Mitchell, you could obviously say, wasn't the issue. You look at Mike Conley in Minnesota right now. Minnesota, even though they're getting swept pretty much by the Nuggets, they are winning. They made the playoffs.
Yeah.
You look at who else was on that roster? Rudy Gobert is also in Minnesota, so there's that. But mm-hmm. The point is, though, maybe Bojan was the issue, because they relied on him so heavily to take the shots when it mattered the most.
Right.
To the point where it's like they're going to him every single night, and he was a key starter for them. Mm-hmm. And so maybe it's like Bojan's been the issue everywhere he's been. And that's why none of those teams were capable of winning, because that Jazz roster was stacked.
Oh, yeah, they had so much help.
Yeah, and they also had one of my favorite coaches in the league, in Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder's a phenomenal coach. He's not the issue. And so, like, I'm not trying to be overly critical and very negative towards Bojan, but it's just when you have similarities like this, where everywhere he's been, they've been good, but haven't been able to get over the hump for some reason, you have to start then by pointing fingers. Because that Jazz front office, insane. One of the best front offices in the league. Had a great coaching staff, had phenomenal players, but yet what was the reason for them losing? And then you look at our team this year, like, we have a great front office. Mm-hmm. Weaver's the GOAT, let's be realistic here.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm. Dwayne Casey, one of the better coaches of NBA history.
Former coach of the year?
Yeah, exactly. Like, our front office and our coaching staff, not the issues. Our talent, not the issues. Our guys just need to develop still. And so you look at Bojan and what he was able to do for us. Yeah, he had those hot streaks here and there. But when you really look at him and what he was capable of and his whole impact on our team, it's like, I don't know, dude, because I love you. You're a great guy. But when we needed you to be the guy and to step up, you weren't there.
It's kind of interesting because we're talking about Bojan's play and how it looks and how it translates into wins. The last 5 games he played, we played against the Toronto Raptors February 12th. He had 33 points, 90% from the free throw line, 55% from the field, but we lost.
Yeah.
Then we play the next night, the Boston Celtics. He has 28 points. And you're like, whoa, you look at the box score. You're like, man, he's going off, 5 rebounds. We lost again. And then his last game of the season, March 1st, he was out the rest. Against the Chicago Bulls, he puts up 34 points, but we lose again. And so it's interesting to see, like, you would think adding a savvy vet to your roster like Bojan to a young team, one of the youngest teams in the league, and you place a savvy scoring vet on that team, you would think, oh, these young guys will kind of mix well with this older vet, and the older vet will kind of teach these younger guys how to go get buckets. But then it just doesn't translate on the court. That's why I'm a little interested to know how Bojan is in practice. Like, because if he's not interacting with our guys, not building a team chemistry, we've talked a lot about in the past about how we just don't know if Bojan's the best team chemistry guy. That's how I would base off if I trade him or not. Because, okay, maybe he's playing good on the court. His numbers look good, but we're not getting wins. Yeah. In the end, wins are what matters. Yeah. That's what players are going to look back on and be like, oh, we were over 500, these seasons. So if Bojan's this guy that doesn't translate into wins, but behind the scenes is working with Killian Hayes and getting a offensive repertoire and working with Cade Cunningham and showing that these guys get along, I think it's worth keeping him. Yeah. But if it's what we suspect and we think that Bojan, there's kind of a language barrier, he's kind of just sticks to himself, he's a pro's pro, I think we should move him to a contender and see what we can get.
Yeah, because if we were to move him, the time is now. Like, literally, the time is now.
He's only getting older.
Because he's already 33 years old. I don't know when his birthday is. So if your birthday is anytime soon, happy birthday. But the point is, though, he's 33, 34 years old. And he signed a 3-year deal with us. So that'll put him at, like, 36, 37 years old. And that's already too old. Like, if you're a Udonis Haslem, go ahead and be on my roster for the whole career. Yeah. Like, I love Udonis Haslem.
Absolutely.
But if you're a guy, and this is no disrespect to Jeremy Grant, but if you're a guy like Jeremy Grant who is going to take away opportunities for a young core, then I don't want you on our team. And I'm saying this in the nicest way possible because I love you, Bojan. So, yes, even though I'm bashing you right now, I do love you. I still love you. I still love you.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, the thing with Udonis Haslem is he doesn't expect to play. He doesn't expect to put up shots. No. It's just he takes what he's given. But Bojan, he's going to go out of his way to get shots up and try to get as many shots up as he can. Very reminiscent of Josh Smith in his final stages with the Pistons. He gets the ball, he's putting a shot up. We saw so many times this season, Bojan, we saw it with James Wiseman in the little sample size we saw them together. Bojan trying to post up a guy in the paint, try to back him down to get a little fadeaway jumper, a little hook shot. And then James Wiseman standing there like, hey, hello, I'm at the elbow, pass me the ball, I'm open. But Bojan's like, no, I'm getting my shots up. And as a fan, as a follower, as a guy that watches very closely the Detroit Pistons, that's infuriating. Yeah. Because James Wiseman's 22, 23 years old.
21.
Yeah. And he's so young. He's 7 foot. You give him the ball. Yeah. You're 33, man. Let the next guy up, let the game go through you. And I'm a fan of Bojan's play because the Pistons haven't had a guy like him in a long time that can just go and get a bucket. But there's positives and negatives that come with that play style. And with our current roster, I think there's more negatives than positives.
Yeah, like just the example you gave, like I'd rather see our young guys develop and get opportunities to get a shot up than see Bojan take 30 shots a night.
Right.
Like, I don't want that.
Yep. And fans shouldn't want that either.
Yeah. There's a reason why it's called team basketball or a basketball team.
Yep.
There's no I in team. And that's it. Everybody says that all the time, but it's true. In this situation, there's not an I in team. There is an I in Pistons, though.
That's true.
There is.
Good point. And Detroit.
Yeah. But Bojan, you are not the I, because not only are you not the I, but you're not the guy.
Oh, he's rapping in here. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Rhyming.
But no. But
that was great.
It was.
I loved
it.
It
was pretty good.
Clip it.
Yeah. But Bojan, you are one of the most efficient players in NBA history. You can be efficient without taking many shots.
Yeah.
Ready? An example? Jalen Duren.
Yep.
Jalen Duren takes very small sample size of shots, and yet he's very efficient. He gets his buckets. He does his thing. He doesn't demand the ball every single second. He doesn't take 20-plus shots a night.
Mm-hmm.
Bojan takes 20-plus shots a night. Granted, it is very impressive how efficient he is still.
Right.
But that's still an example. Like, be Jalen Duren in this situation. Jalen Duren is not demanding the ball and is taking the shots when he has to take the shots, or he wants to take the shots, rather. And he still is having double-digit scoring nights. And it's like, right. Bojan, you can easily do that, and that'll create more opportunities for Jaden Ivey, and then Cade coming back, and then our next draft pick coming in. Like, our roster is just this young group of guys that need time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And without getting those opportunities to get those shots up and progress that side of the ball,
right,
it limits them, because you're going to have Bojan, a vet, who could literally retire at any second. Really could literally retire at any second, damage the team just because he wants to take the shot. And I don't want to see that. And I hate that I'm bashing you, because I do like you.
I feel so bad.
I do feel so bad.
No, you're good.
But no, we can't win with you taking the amount of shots you're taking going forward. And then from a chemistry side of things, really,
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we don't have the behind the scenes side of things.
Right.
We don't have that perspective. But from the perspective that we have as fans, it doesn't look like you're really talking to the guys.
No.
It looks like you're just going there, doing your job, and leaving at the end of the day.
Yep.
That's all it looks like to us. And that's why, like, when you have the little posts on Instagram or Facebook, when the Pistons are making those social media posts, and it's like you're getting the behind the scenes stuff, and you're asking them questions, and you're learning more about these guys.
Yep.
All of them are answering, but then Bojan is saying one word and walking by.
Yeah.
Like,
on the TikToks.
We're not seeing your personality. As fans, we want to see your personality. And so when we're not getting that, it's hard to really judge and break down who you are as an individual,
mm-hmm.
because we're sitting here going like, you're really negative. Maybe we don't want you.
Right.
But in all actuality, you could be one of the nicest guys out there.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't know that because we're not seeing that out of you.
Yeah.
And it's not translating.
Even like the Pistons Instagram always posts like the pictures walking onto the airplane and stuff. And a lot of the guys are walking in 2s and 3s. Mm-hmm. And Bojan's always by himself, no one really around him, you know. So I think that's just kind of the guy he is. I think he just kind of sticks to himself.
I mean, granted, he is also pretty much the oldest guy on the team.
Yep.
I mean, you have Corey Joseph, who's in that ballpark still.
Yeah, they're probably around the same
Corey
age.
Joseph still hangs out with all the young guys.
Oh, yeah.
And same with Rodney Magruder. Rodney Magruder is one of the older guys on the team, and yet he still hangs out with all the young guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, it's not hard to really fit in with that, because it's a team. It's a team game. You guys play 82 games in a season.
Yeah.
Not just games, but you practice every single day pretty much.
Travel the
country consistently all the time together. You're spending the nights in the same hotel. Like, there's so many opportunities to get to know someone. And it's just, you got to take that foot in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I hate that we're being negative, but we're also being realistic though.
Yeah.
Because this team is young and this team needs to develop. But if he ends up doing what he's been doing, we're not going to see that out of our team.
So we broke down the statistics. We talked about the dynamics of Bojan and with this young Detroit Pistons team. Now we will finish the episode with our final grade for Bojan Bogdanovic with his first season with the Detroit Pistons. What is our grading scale, just to remind everybody?
A, amazing cedar. Cedar. I really said, where is that coming from?
I don't know. You're good.
Okay. Amazing season, better than expected. I think I mixed season and better together.
Maybe so, yeah. That's it.
B, greater B, great season, better than advertised.
Okay.
C, as advertised with room for improvement. D, below advertised with a lot of room for improvement. And our favorite, F, who is this guy?
Yep. Which I will say, Bojan is not an F.
No,
we know
he's
who
not.
he is. We get it.
Although technically, we don't know who he is.
So yeah, that's a good point. We just talked about how we don't know him.
But
But we know his play style.
Yeah, we know his play style. So we do know him.
Right. Bojan gave us exactly what I kind of expected.
Yep.
I thought he was going to give us around 20 points a game. I knew he wasn't going to be a great rebounder. I knew he wasn't going to be a great passer. I didn't realize he wouldn't pass the ball much at all. Thought he would work a little bit more with the offense just coming from playoff caliber teams. But we didn't see that. Overall, I'm happy with his play. I'm also nervous with what the future holds with him. I'm going to give him a B because he gave me kind of what I expected, and that's what I want. When we get a player in the offseason, you want, because we've seen so many times us make trades, us make pickups, and they're not what we expected. And Bojan gave us what we expected, so I commend him for that, and I thank him for that because, one, the most part, he was able to stay healthy, but then also he gave us what we needed, and that was scoring.
So I want to give him a C, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
Because that would have been pretty low out of anybody that I've graded so far. But I will give you a B minus.
Okay.
Because you did have a good season. This is what I expected out of you. But there are a lot of questions going forward. And that's why it would bring you down to a C, in my opinion. But there were still a lot of positives this season out of you. And so that's why I'd have to go B minus. But it's just the future really is in question with Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, it's one of the most fascinating storylines right now. The coaching situation, Bojan Bogdanovic, that's real. And then obviously what draft pick we're going to get. There's like 3 storylines right now that, as a guy that like follows the Pistons closely, is like very exciting. Like those 3 different storylines. And well, we did it. We evaluated Bojan Bogdanovic in his first season with the Detroit Pistons. And Ryan gave him a B minus. I gave him a B for grading. And that will do it for today's episode number 26. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on your post notifications. Also, go follow us on Instagram if you're more of a short form person as far as taking in social media. Go follow us on Instagram because we are always posting clips, debate topics, and overall just hot takes. So we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.